Hi, this is Cal Ripken Jr., and you're listening to the ML Sports Platter.
It is indeed the ML Sports Platter all over the major platforms. Go ahead and download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. We are brought to you by Bryant and Stratton College, Liverpool Physical Therapy, and our great friends at Stanley Law Offices. Together, they'll work to get you the maximum award. Visit them online at stanleylawoffices.com and follow them on Instagram and like the Facebook page as well. Be on the lookout for their terrific videos online as well. The Facebook Live with a bunch of legal advice. And oh, by the way, their partner, my partner, Music for the Mission, if you're in and around Central New York, make sure you go and check out where the Music for the Mission boxes have been left, and in the future you'll see them as well. Slip in a couple bucks, right? Slip in 50 cents. If you're going to your local bottle and can distributor redemption center, you get $4.50 back. Throw that change in there and maybe a buck. All that stuff helps. Every single dollar is one meal for the homeless in Central New York. You can hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports. Find the ML Sports Platter on Instagram and Facebook as well. Let's talk some golf. Collin Morikawa winning the Open Championship, and we'll set up kind of the rest of the year. We'll get into some things that this guy's working on with his platform, and some of the late summer golf courses to hit before the bad stuff arrives, of course, in New York State. It's my good buddy Brian Jacobs from Brian Jacobs Golf. Get him on Twitter at Brian Jacobs Golf, the PGA Golf Channel Academy lead instructor, Golf Channel Morning Drive Coach of the Week, Golf Digest, Best in State, Callaway Golf Pro staff as well. And his website is brianjacobsgolf.com. What's up, Brian? How are you, buddy?
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you having me on.
When you watch Collin Morikawa, what do you see?
Oh, I see a young man that is so poised and so intentional that it's just a privilege to watch him. It's nice to see a young man who has good values and also is kind and also is extremely poised and not entitled.
What do you think the ceiling is for this guy? I mean, we rush a lot when guys win early, right? We've done it with Koepka, Spieth. We did it certainly with Tiger. Now he's going to win this amount, or he'll be in this window of 7 to 10 majors. What's the ceiling ultimately for this 24-year-old, Brian?
Well, I don't typically compare to other players because he's Collin. But I think the sky, is the limit for him. When you took Wolf, Hovland, and Morikawa, and you compared them all, collegiate career, and who the predictions on who was going to be, the winner, win the most, he was always picked. So he kind of has the it factor. He's got the right mentality, and he's got a great team around him, and not that the other players don't have great teams, but they just seem to all click really, really well.
Yeah, he's terrific. He had played across the pond, I believe, in the Scottish Open the week before. Mm-hmm. And he had noted that was the ultimate difference. Now, look, we can play a course, we can practice beforehand, we can play all the time and still have a bad round. I mean, the best in the world have bad rounds, and all they do is hit 30,000 balls a week.
Right.
So the bad round can still happen, but you're enhancing your chances at success if you practice and get used to elements and play around and obviously just kind of soak up more about a style of a course, a style of weather, being in a different time zone. He changed weights in his putter quite a bit. He mentioned there's some other things that he figured out in terms of the link style. And then the Open arrives, and a lot of that was the same, but the weather was even better. How much do you think, for him, and really, frankly, for anybody, how important is it to play somewhere that's nearly identical to the place that you have to go the week after, that you're really trying to make something happen in grand fashion like a major?
I think it's imperative. I mean, I'm at a Lindsley style of a golf course. We have high elevation, fescue, wind. And when people come out there, we have gigantic greens. We have common greens, which people don't normally see, common tee boxes. So very Scottish, right? Lynxy. There's no water, though. Unfortunately, the throughway is our ocean. But I'll tell you what, when people come out there, they just don't. They can't fathom. They don't know how to hit shots. They don't know how to control the ball in the wind, or how to handle greens, and how to handle firm and fast. And so when you look at American golf courses in general, they're very green and plush, and the greens are soft and they hold. And Lindsley style golf is way different. The course is brown. It's watered by nature, more or less. The greens, sometimes it's hard to discern between what is the green and what is not. And it's just a different style of golf. And I tell my players, I'm at Mill Creek in Rochester, I mean, if you can play Lindsley style of golf course, playing a soft golf course is easy. It's so easy, because you know how to handle the wind, you know how to shape shots and move it under the wind and move it above it. And so it's imperative to get on those conditions. And we're not conditioned in America to play golf courses like that because we don't have many, in the country. There's more and more popping up, but we just don't have those conditions. So for me personally, to even get off topic, the British Open is my favorite tournament. I like it a lot. I like it more than the Masters, the Open. I just love that style of golf. I always have.
Yeah, and not only that, it's sweet when you wake up and first thing you do is turn on golf. It's pretty cool. Have you ever been over there for an Open, Brian?
I have not.
I want to go. Let's plan it, me and you, man.
That'd be great. Yeah, and I have a ton of guys and girls that'll go.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to go last October. I had started planning, and obviously with COVID and everything else, we couldn't do it. So now we're pushed into 2023 already because everybody's a year behind.
Yep.
So, but it'll be fun though. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, look, next year is going to be just unreal. I mean, St. Andrews, 150th. I mean, that's if people get into that one, that's going to be a memorable one for sure. You mentioned of course, where you're at out in Western New York in the Rochester area. I played Ravenwood a couple of weeks ago. I know there's a lot of other really solid ones. For my folks who are listening who are really throughout the state of New York, and they travel to go play golf, why don't you give them a little bit of a golf plan in Rochester, New York, literally one of the great golf towns in the country. It really is.
We're Myrtle Beach of the North. I mean, it's incredible. We have Robert Trent Jones and Donald Ross had the largest influence in our area. So we have a muni course called Durand Eastman that's public. And that's a Robert Trent Jones golf course, so that's a public golf course. And then we have what's called the Finger Lakes Golf Trail, which is Ravenwood. It's also Mill Creek that's on that, and Greystone. So Greystone and Mill Creek are Lindsley style golf courses. Obviously, I'm partial to Mill Creek. We are the highest point in our county. So when you stand up at the top of number 10, you can see the city of Rochester,
really?
Lake Ontario, and it's unbelievable. You have to come and visit. And
I will.
Unfortunately, we had a little fire last year, but they rebuilt the clubhouse more grand, and they're finishing the painting now, and they're doing some tree programs where they're opening it up so that you can see everything from the hill. And if you want to play another public golf course, we have Eagle Vale, we have Blue Heron, which is a much more narrow type of golf course. And then obviously our privates, Oak Hill and Country Club Rochester. But you have to know somebody to get on those unaccompanied. So, I mean, you could literally spend probably a month here and not play the same golf course.
I saw a tweet that I think you had quote tweeted, and I'm hoping to get the last name right, Rick Sessinghaus? Sessinghaus, yeah. Tell my listeners about Rick, his background, your connection to Rick, and obviously, through Morikawa, right?
Yeah, well, I don't have I've never met him personally, but I know of his work. He's a doctor. He's more a clinical psychologist. And so he works with Collin Morikawa not only on his swing, but also on his mental game.
Oh, nice.
And so I do a lot with my players on the mental game. I mean, at the end of the day, once the technique is where you want it to be, it becomes human skills.
Yeah.
And he spends a lot of time with Collin on staying in the moment. But if you notice, his intention was unbelievable. So when you're playing link-style golf, you can have intention, micro focus, and as soon as the ball leaves the club, you have no control at that point. So you have to become very adaptable because a gust of wind could come up. It could hit the ground and bounce in a way that you have never seen before, just because the turf is so hard. And so when you're picking targets, you have to start to predict, or try to calculate a little bit more, like which way you think the ball's going to go, and then you have to really have control of the spin, and that's why he won. He controlled his spin. He controlled his targets. His misses were far enough left or right so that if he did get a crazy bounce, he was in play still. And he never hit it out of play. If you watch, he never hit it. It was always close to being in play. And where you watched other players, they were not hitting it in play. They were in the fescue or, in a bunker. They didn't predict well, how things were going to go. And so they were very well prepared. And he was extremely adaptable, which is, if things didn't quite go the way he wanted them to go, he was able to recover. And all the players are excellent. It's just he was in a mindset, like you could tell he was very calm. He was accepting results, and he was able to deal with, adversity when it happened. And he didn't get too high or too low. Like you watched John Rahm when he played, he was visibly getting irritated because he kept getting these, 8 and 10 footers, and he kept, whipping them out. And he just could not make a run. He'd get a little going, and then he'd fall back a little bit. And so he wasn't controlling his intention, very well. So if you watch the difference between their body language and, just how they maneuvered around, Morikawa really just glided around the golf course. And, Spieth was charging, and Rahm was charging through the golf course, a little bit different. So, and part of it's their personality, but part of it is just, and they were behind, so they had to make things happen, which it's really hard to do on a link-style golf course, to come back from being 3 or 4 down.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Boy, it's nice to have Jordan Spieth back, isn't it? Goodness, the putter is back, and you know Spieth is hot on the greens, Brian. Right, when he does those little mini fist downs, not quite like a fist up. Nobody's gonna ever do a fist up like Tiger, of course, but that little boom, that little pop down, that little hammer nail fist to the ground. His putter's rolling. He looks good, doesn't he?
He looks good, and I'll give it to his credit. I know a lot of people were calling for coach change, but he had a plan, and knowing his coach, a little bit. I mean, it was to their credit, I'm sure they sat down and had a talk and just said, we're going to stick to the plan. We're going to get through this, and it really became human skill for Jordan too, where it wasn't really technical. It was his brain. It was, how he needed to get confidence back, and he needed to get his intention back, and he needed to stop thinking ahead to like the what ifs instead of what was happening then.
Yeah. And
so it's really hard not to think ahead or to, I'm sure feel like your whole career is crumbling in front of you, but it just really shows how resilient, people are, and I'm really happy for him. I think it's good for the game. I think Morikawa is good for the game too. I'm not a fan of this whole Koepka and DeChambeau, stuff going on. I don't think that's good for the game at all. I don't think it's bringing a positive light to the game, where you see guys like Spieth and Morikawa, and they're good guys. They're nice kids, and they're the type of people that you want representing the game, in my opinion.
Brian Jacobs, our guest here on the ML Sports Platter, brought to you by Bryant and Stratton College of Syracuse and Welch & Company Jewelers, at Brian Jacobs Golf on Twitter, brianjacobsgolf.com for the website. Got a couple more for you. I'll let you run. What are some of the latest things, really more common things that you've been working on with your golf students, Brian?
Well, we do quite a bit of I do quite a bit of digital work now. I have opportunities to teach people all over the world digitally. So I've worked the last year on being able to teach on demand and virtual, and being able to put plans together that are customized to them. And so that's been a real privilege to teach people all over the country, and watch them progress. And so, we get A to Z, soup to nuts, as far as swings and thoughts. And so we progress them through technical, and then we gain some insight into their game through tactical, which is all their data collection. So I collect mainly three statistics, which are greens and regulation, putts per round, and their scrambling percentages. And then we work kind of from there, trying to make them better ball strikers, more consistent. And then we move them into the human skills, where we're teaching them how to have intention and how to be adaptable as they go through a round of golf, and understand golf doesn't really start till you hit a foul ball. It's trying to keep the adrenaline down and the dopamine up.
Yeah. And for a lot of us, it doesn't take long to hit a foul ball.
No, for a lot of people, they hit it right on the first hole, and they're like, as soon as you hear that's the story of my life, you're in for
you're toast.
A pig bite, and so we do spend a lot of time in FaceTime calls and chat with our digital students. And then my one-on-ones are great. I mean, I've got a really good culture, and they're all playing good right now, and mostly everybody's hooking it. So this is the time where they call and say, I'm hooking it. I got to come in and see you. And I'm like, okay, we know how to fix it. I have one student that just finished playing in the New York State Open and did really well. And he's a top kid in college golf. He plays in Maryland. Was in a big tournament in Virginia, and then was the medalist, the qualifier here a couple weeks ago for the Open. And so, we're seeing some success. People are winning their club championships and their flights, and so it's really cool. It's a neat culture, and I've got 3 kids down at Pinehurst this week playing in the U.S. Kids Nationals. So a 10-year-old and 2 12-year-olds.
It's unbelievable.
So that's fun too.
The young kids, I mean, all arms and legs. They're all lean and tall, and good grief, they kill it, Brian. They kill the ball.
They smash it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tell them swing fast, and
sure,
I'll fix the rest. Learn how to go fast first. And,
Yep.
And so I don't really, at the beginning, I don't really care where it goes, because I know I can fix it.
There you go. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say,
a lot of NFLers too, so they're just like us. They want to play great, and the guys for the Bills, a lot of them that I help out are amazing, just incredible athletes, and it's fun to watch them when you play with them and you can curve it and move it around and they can't, and you're like, haha, you're in my space now, dude. If I was had to make a tackle against any running back in the NFL, I would be in trouble, but this I can do.
All right, and you just actually, nice little segue there. I was going right to the Bills. Interactions with them recently, and what have you done with the team? And I know you, like me, I mean, there are wild I can't remember. Probably the last time expectations were this high, maybe it was 93, just because of how much success they had already had going into a year. I know you're chomping at the bit for football to start, and excited for the Bills. So
Tuesday.
Yep. So give me your take on the team and the latest greatest in terms of working with them.
Well, I would say, over the years, just from starting with Aaron Schobel all the way up to this team, the culture is incredible. They're just really, really good guys. They're very appreciative of, your time and what you're doing for them, and they're getting the same type of person there, but they got to switch, too, when they're on the field, they're not as pleasant. I guess is the way to put it. They're very business oriented too. They're obviously getting more and more focused. They know their time is limited. But I think the cool thing is, which when I taught players a number of years ago, they couldn't differentiate between, leisure and, the game. And a lot of them just lived for the game. And then when they were done, they didn't know what to do. And these guys are, to credit to their organization, they're able to transition socially really, really well. And they are very, very community oriented. They're giving. And please and thank you is a big part of their conversation, with me in particular, which I think, in this day and age, a lot of professional athletes feel somewhat entitled maybe, or, they're better than maybe somebody else. And these are some of the most humble young men that I've met in a long, long time, where they understand, what they're doing, the purpose of what they're doing, and also how fragile that career is too. That it's very short, and that they've got an opportunity to create an impact, not only on the football field but off it as well. Like you look at most of them, they're doing charity work, for different foundations, and they're raising money for foundations. It's just great. They're going back to their colleges, their high schools, and they're giving back, creating scholarship funds and doing other things. So I'm really proud to be involved with the players that I am right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, PGA Golf Channel Academy lead instructor, Golf Channel Morning Drive Coach of the Week, Golf Digest Best in State, Callaway Golf Professional Staff. He is Brian Jacobs. Go get him on Twitter at Brian Jacobs Golf and BrianJacobsGolf.com. Brian, one of these days, I can't wait to be able to meet you. Hopefully it's on a golf course. And
you're an open invitation. The state's open. Get up here and before we get closed again.
Yep.
And, we'll play a nice round and maybe wrap a football game into that. We'll do a little sideline and a little suite at the same game, and hope that it snows.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you.
The ML Sports Platter is brought to you by Sit Means Sit Syracuse, Welch & Company Jewelers, and our good friend Heather Saxon at Hunt Real Estate. Go get her on Facebook, Heather at Hunt. Remember, home is more than just a place. It's a feeling. Give Heather a call today. Buying and selling homes, it's brutal. It's time-consuming. It's stressful. 315-727-3313. That's 315-727-3313. Heather Saxon of Hunt Real Estate, the official real estate agent of the ML Sports Platter. She is a licensed real estate salesperson. A tip of the cap thank you as well to Barks and Rec Doggy Daycare and the Swan and Whitaker families for their support of the ML Sports Platter. Just wanted to spend a few minutes on Yankee baseball. And the Yankees right now are playing, as you hear this, it'll be a few days, have gone by and more games and whatever. But, they took 2 or 3 from the Red Sox. And then they win against the Phillies. And these games right now, I've actually been into. For the first time this year, I've been into watching the Yankees. I've watched them all year. I just haven't been into it. Volume's down. I'm reading a book. I'm sidetracked. I'm playing on the phone. I'm doing work stuff, whatever. The reality of the situation is it's very simple. Why? They have players who want to play and be there. They are winning by playing actual baseball. Did you see the Red Sox game? Games, plural. Elite starting pitching. Good defense. Hitting the ball the other way. Hitting the ball really to contact overall. And complementing playing baseball with power. I have no problem with home runs. But when it's always about home runs, when it's always about exit velo and launch angle and walks, strikeouts, home runs, it's dull. It's bad. You want to hit a home run here and there and complement it with a double the other way? You want to do that, Gleyber Torres? Okay. As opposed to just going 0 for 4 trying to hit the ball out of the park every time, no matter what the score is. DJ LeMahieu always seems to do that. He always seems to just hit the ball the other way. But a lot of these guys now, you have more players who are able to do it. Look, you call up Greg Allen. Greg Allen is, kind of a baseball nomad to a degree. I mean, he's 28 years old. If you look at what he's done, spent some teams, minor leagues, major leagues, certainly, his time in the Cleveland organization, he's just a complete player and exactly what the Yankees need. He's a spark guy. He has unbelievable speed. He can play the outfield. He can hit from both sides of the plate, so now you're a little bit more balanced. Estevan Florial, lefty bat. Nice night against the Phillies, right? Now, you've got more lefties in there to complement all the righties. Now it's righty stand. Well, you got the COVID problem, Gio and Aaron Judge and all these guys, but, you're not as heavy right-handed. Now, do they need LeMahieu? Do they need Judge? Yup. But you need some guys from the left side as well. And I know Brett Gardner, this Brett Gardner thing is just getting, enough's enough. Enough's enough. How long can you trot him out there? He's a lefty bat, but he doesn't bring anything in the field. He has a terrible arm. He's fast, and he on occasion can track down balls, but he gets worse and worse out there. On occasion, he'll pop it out of the park. He'll, give you a base hit, but really the guy is just, he's hitting what? As I record this, is he even hitting 190 at this particular point? 191. Come on, But the lefty thing, the compliments of all these guys, now you've got lefty bat Odor, lefty bat Wade, lefty bat. I'd love to see Hoy Park in there. Obviously take some at-bats. I don't know. They called him up. They're not even playing him. But Greg Allen, switch hitter. Florial, left-hander. Now you're complimenting Ryan Lamar, who's a right-hander. Even Tyler Wade, who drives me nuts, is a lefty. But Gleyber Torres, Stanton, LeMahieu when he's in there, Sanchez, Aaron Judge when he comes back, et cetera, et cetera. But they're playing with confidence. They're playing with a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, right? They're playing and stealing bases, hitting the ball the other way, complementing that with power. And I love that. I love to see that. And that's what we got to have. We got to have, as Yankee fans, we got to see that, and I still don't believe in this term, obviously, the team long term, I should say, because what will happen is, once everybody's back and ready, everybody else goes back down to the minor leagues, which shouldn't happen. I've said it for a long time. Just release Stanton, eat the money. Start building a team back. Try to trade. I would still sell at the deadline. I know the Yankees, they're going to try to fight and get a wild card or fight and even try to chase for the division, but I don't see the division as an option right now. I just don't. They could prove me wrong. It's still possible. There's still 60-plus games left as I record this. But I would sell Britton. I'd sell Chapman. I would trade a bunch of these guys, and I'd almost try to see if I could get. With the value of maybe Tyone coming back here a little bit, what can you get for him? And then turn the ball over to some of the kids and see what you got and move towards 2022. Obviously, if there's baseball, but I'm into the game simply because the Yankees are playing actual baseball. The ML Sports Platter is brought to you by our great friends over at the Vince Aguirre Consulting Group, Welch & Company Jewelers, the Al and Angus Pub, and Matt Graham from State Farm. Get a free rate quote today from Matt if you're in and around Central New York or even the great state of New York. Ask Matt about the current rate drops at State Farm. Home, auto, life, bank, and business, and more. Matt Graham of State Farm, he is there for you. SyracuseInsuranceAgent.com. SyracuseInsuranceAgent.com. Tip of the cap thanks as well to Prestwick Golf and our good pals over at Barks and Rec Doggy Daycare. Hit me on Twitter at Mike L. Sports, the ML Sports Platter, all over the major platforms. Download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. You can get new and archived episodes delivered right to your smartphone device. For example, on an Apple phone, find that purple podcast button, tap it, hit search, type in ML Sports Platter, and you'll get past episodes, new episodes, past guests, including Mark Teixeira, Eric Wood, Kel Ripken Jr., Adrian Wojnarowski, Ian O'Connor, Armin Katayan, and many, many more. I'm on Twitter at Mike L Sports, ML Sports Platter on Instagram and Facebook. And oh, by the way, you can be on the lookout for my 1-minute ML Sports takes and my 9-minute videos as well, all over the platforms like Twitter, Facebook, IGTV, and Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Brian Jacobs for jumping on as well, talking some golf. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.